Hello again, everyone. Welcome back to Eastern Shore Talk, your podcast for all things self-care movies. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome. We're glad to have you. If you are watching on YouTube, don't forget, click like, hit subscribe, and leave a comment below. If you're listening on one of the other podcast platforms, click follow, subscribe, and leave a comment or review. This is episode 81, and I'm Jay Watson.
And I'm Cathy Castle.
And we have a very special guest this week with a very special mission and message, and I will let Cathy introduce our guest.
Absolutely. And we are, Jay, I'm checking in with you. I'm checking in because we're doing live, right? And I'm not seeing it. Before I introduce our guests, I want to make sure that we've got our technology lined up.
Yep, I'm seeing the feed on. We'll be 10 seconds behind. So if you guys are watching on Facebook Live, we're 10-second delay. So if you ask a question or leave a comment and it takes us a few minutes, don't fret. Your feed is about 10 seconds behind the live recording.
Mine might be really behind because I don't see it at all. I don't see it at all, Jay.
You got to click the like. Click on my face on the like on the top of my.
On your face.
Yeah, where it says big red circle says live, and then the feed by itself will pop up.
All right, we're all learning this together, and I am not seeing that.
All right, let's just introduce the guest, and
we're gonna do it. We're gonna go. Okay. All right. So I am very happy to introduce Marianne Jackson, and like Jay and I, she is an alumni from Easton High. I promise not to say which year. And what I like about our homegrown guest that we bring on is she's from, I guess you're from Cordova, really, right? You're from the
Queen Anne.
Queen Anne. I'm claiming you as Easton.
Okay.
But you're in our generation.
I went to elementary school in Cordova.
Okay. All right. And she is a farm girl. She claims to be a farm girl. Still lives on a family farm, correct?
That's correct.
Which I love, love, love. And what is really impressive about her, you're claimed to be retired at these things, right? This is almost like trivia. 2 restaurants, an art gallery, a women's boutique, and an alpaca farm. So she's done enough for 5 people's lifetime. But the alpaca farm is very interesting to me. And it also, if that isn't enough in her life, she's also been a foster mom for 2 adopted sons, which says a lot about who she is, her character, and her heart. She's very community minded when it comes to volunteerism, and she is strong, independent, compassionate as a friend, sister, daughter, and as our story is going to go tonight, as a grieving mom. So what she's going to talk about tonight is a brand new, we feel so lucky that she's trusting us to try this out on the podcast, but a brand new presentation that she's put together, and it's called The Last Bad Decision. And this is a presentation that is really focused around some events that happened with her 21-year-old son, Adam, who she tragically has lost in a car accident. And what Marianne is trying to do is start a very important conversation about decisions. You know, when we think about and she can get more into what happened to her son, but this was an accident that involved alcohol, being intoxicated, and it involved, her son and someone else. But I guess what I can't wait to hear about is what she's saying is, and I know I'm a mom of 4. I've said this a gazillion, million, 100 trillion times is, don't drink and drive. Don't drink and drive. Don't drink and drive. And maybe on the 10th time, I'd say, oh yeah, don't forget, don't get into the car with somebody who's been drinking either, right? So this is a very important conversation. Moms, kids, young adults, older people. I don't know that there's any person that really shouldn't hear this, honestly, because what she's trying to do is to start conversations that these kind of bad decisions, just don't happen on New Year's Eve, or it's prom night, or there's some big, party down the street. These decisions happen every day. So, and again, her tagline is for this presentation is being intoxicated doesn't just impair your ability to drive, but it impairs your ability to make good decisions. So I think it's a very interesting. This is going to be a very interesting conversation. I think Jay and I we're a little sappy, so I'm pretty sure that we're going to be very emotional over this story. So we're very glad to have you, Marianne, and that you're willing to be vulnerable to share your mom pain with all of us and to help others make some better decisions.
Thanks so much for having me on. It's certainly a pleasure to be asked to share this story and talk about the presentation that I have written. Um, the tagline really says it all. I lost my son because he made a bad decision. It was his last bad decision. Um, Adam had, well, let's just start from the beginning. Adam was my 21-year-old son, and went to a friend's house, met another friend there, um, got into a vehicle with someone he did not know, but Adam had had enough alcohol that he didn't realize that the guy driving was too drunk to drive. And and because of that, he lost his life, and I lost my child. And no parent should ever go through this grieving process. That knock on the door at 2:30 in the morning is replays in my head every time I close my eyes. Um, there is no getting over this or closure to this grief, but there are little snippets of healing, and writing this was the beginning of that. I was just journaling and writing and realized that that was helping me, and at the same time, by sharing that information, I might be able to help someone else.
Well, so you are giving these presentations, or you're just starting your journey on giving the presentation. So
Yes, I've given it a couple of times now. I have sort of fine-tuned it. For the original presentation was for young adults. I was thinking about my other son, all of the boys' friends, all the things I wanted to say to them. But there's sort of a few variations of that now. I've spoken to a group of men that are in recovery at a rehab, and sort of was asking them questions and more feedback from them. And I mean, when the lights went up, everybody was in tears. I mean, it's a very moving and honest story. I'm not that mom that says, "Oh, not my kid."
mhm.
Um, I knew exactly what happened, and that any shenanigans that were going on that night, Adam was probably a willing participant, but he did not choose to get behind the wheel. And unfortunately, he thought he was riding with someone who was going to get him home safe.
Cathy, I think it's interesting. This kind of ties in perfectly to what we were talking about last week with um, some of the reasons why we make bad decisions. And it was great, Marianne, when I read your poster, and the big headline says, the last bad decision, and that really kind of reflected back to last week when Cathy and I were talking about the reasons why we make those bad decisions, and um, then you bring alcohol into the equation, and that just complicates. We all make bad decisions when we're sober. Um, just
Absolutely. And we're
during,
going to
yeah,
continue to make bad
yes,
decisions throughout our life, or at least questionable decisions
yes,
throughout our life. No one is immune from it. But you can certainly help yourself make better decisions by keeping a clear mind.
right,
Um, Adam had his whole life in front of him. I am certain that when he climbed into the back seat of that pickup, he had the thought that he might lose his life never crossed his mind. But just an hour later, he was gone, pronounced dead at the scene. Um, and he he was always that kid. He was always a bit of a daredevil. I can't tell you how many times he has broken an arm doing, crazy things or whatever. But he had really sort of started to grow out of some of that. And then it just happened, you know, uh, and I'm left with so many questions, um, so many what ifs. What if I had asked him not to go? He didn't have a driver's license, so what if he hadn't found a ride to his friend's house? Um, what if this other guy that Adam didn't even know hadn't come over to the friend's house as well? Um, what if they hadn't been drinking as much? And certainly, what if they were not going 100 miles an hour through town? Um, so I'm left with memories and a lot of missed opportunities. I'll never see him decide on a career and become successful. I'll never see him fall in love and get married. I'll never have grandchildren. Um, there's there's a lot more that goes into someone making a bad decision than just how it affects them and whether or not it's a safe decision for them. Our family will never be the same.
So, as you're going along and making a presentation for a group, what are the points that you're discussing? What points are you trying to get through to?
Well, I'm trying to help them realize that, just like the tagline, your ability to make good decisions goes right out the window as soon as you become intoxicated, as soon as you start using drugs. It's just, your brain is not functioning, especially if you are a young man. Um, you know, the facts are the facts, and I won't bore you with statistics, but boys' brains develop slower and take longer, and they are more likely to drive at high rates of speed, and they are more likely to drink beer or alcohol of any kind. And some people's brains don't um, are affected differently. They process alcohol differently than others. Some people, the majority, hopefully, may have a drink or two and say, oh, I need to stop because I need to drive home. But then we have others who have a couple drinks and say, oh, this feels really good. I should have a couple more. And that cycle just keeps repeating. And that's how Adam's brain functioned. And that's why I say I'm sure that no one was forcing him to have a drink. Um, Raising a teenage alcoholic was a full-time job. It was hard. and he was finally starting to get on a different path. Um, started praying intentionally for help. One of the biggest things that happened was last Christmas, in a conversation with a family friend. Um, he was asked, well, how do you pray? And he said, what do you mean? And he said, well, what do you say? What do you think? And Adam says, well, I just asked for help. And this friend said to him, well, that's not good enough. You need to intentionally ask for what you need help with. And whether you believe in God or a supreme being of any kind, prayer can't hurt, because it's often the same as self-reflection. It's when you're asking for help for specific things, you're admitting to yourself that you need help with those things. And in our society, we often view asking for help as being a weakness, but it's shows really strong moral character when you can say, I need help, whether that's to a friend or a counselor or God. And once Adam started praying intentionally, he would come down every morning and tell me what he had prayed for. And um, it actually helped me. I mean, it brought me along on that journey with him. And he was starting to see things more clearly, and understanding things that maybe he could improve upon. And uh, it just, starting to grow up. That's what I told him. Well, that's almost like adulting. Um, but he never got to finish that journey because he made that last bad decision. So when I go to talk to kids, I don't want anyone to think that I'm going to go into schools and tell your kids to pray to God, because that's not what this is about. This is about taking that moment to stop and think, how is this going to affect me? If something goes wrong, how is this going to affect my family? Um, we're all going to continue to make bad decisions. No one is perfect. We do it throughout our life. Um, but it's just taking that moment, that one click of time to think, do I really want to drink this beer? I told my friends I was going to get them home. Am I going to be able to do that? And to make that decision, make a better decision than getting behind the wheel or getting in a vehicle with someone who is not able to get you home.
I'm the mom of four, and they range from 18 boys, 18 to 27. And
Woo!
on the clinical side, I certainly know very well that prefrontal cortex it is not cemented. It is a very bumpy road with a lot of divots, probably till that 26-ish time frame. I guess all kids are a little different.
Right.
But I can tell you, I haven't had one of my children really want to hear that when I'm like, listen, it's not even your fault. Biologically, your decision making capacity is impaired because of that. Your impulsivity is increased because of that. But they don't want to hear that. And I've never found a good way to really
Well,
set that in, right?
yeah. Well,
But
on top of everything else, Adam had ADHD and ODD, oppositional defiance disorder. So trying to tell him
right.
anything, it was never well received. Um, but
Well, I think we're cursed with yeah, our wisdom comes much later, right?
absolutely, absolutely, we look back and think of, you know, things we may have been able to do differently, or how lucky we are that we did something ridiculous and lived to tell the tale. Um, Adam couldn't remember to brush his teeth or where he put his wallet or, you know, any of those normal day to day things. But that's not to say that he was not intelligent. His IQ was very high, and he could learn a computer program in, half an hour that I struggled with for a week. He graduated through COVID, um, which was no fun. Um, and especially because then we didn't have
Right.
an internet that was reliable, so we were doing lots of it on paper packets, and that's just not what a 17-year-old boy wants to do with his day. But he did get through it, and he did graduate. If you look at some of my posters and my flyers and things uh, for the last bad decision, one of my favorite pictures is Adam walking across the stage
Oh, yeah.
because he had been told so many times he wasn't going to make it, and he buckled down and got it done and graduated. He was so proud of himself for that.
It was really hard for those kids. I had the same. I had one graduate during COVID. That was very hard for them. They missed a lot, and they
Yes,
wanted to make up for that.
yes, yes. I mean, it wasn't just the classwork. There was no socialization. Um, and so, even though you tell a bunch of kids that you have to stay 6 feet away from each other, that's not happening. They're still getting together on weekends, and parents are policing that and feeling like they're the bad guys. Um, and socialization is important for kids. And they just continue. I think they continued over expressing after COVID because they felt like they were so bound during COVID.
Well, they were robbed of lots of rites of passage
That's right.
in their identity and what was normal to every other single grade besides
That's
that.
right. That's right. Put on a prom for the class before them and then never got to have a prom. It's those things were, I mean, and they did. We were back in school by the time Adam went to prom, but, um, lots of football games and sports things and, just all kinds of things.
So
Go ahead, Jen.
there's kind of, as I'm listening and thinking, I'm kind of thinking back with my own experiences. And Cathy, I think Marianne, you're roughly the same age as we are. You might be, a couple years different, but in that
I'm
teenage.
much younger, Jay, much younger.
Okay. So, speaking for myself, like 16 to 18, every Friday, Saturday night, riding around town drinking. Um, that was, that was kind of the norm. And full disclosure, the one time in my entire life when I got behind the wheel of a car when I had no business doing it when I was 16 years old
Mm.
and had gone out with a date. And she lived all the way at Kent Point, the very southern point of Kent Island, as far as you can go, which is about 50 minutes from Easton. So I got her home fine, was driving back to Easton. I got to about Skipton on Route 50. And this would have been the early 80s. So back then, they didn't have the rumble strips on the sides of the road where you hear your tires hit it. And, I passed out or fell asleep or whatever. And it was probably 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. And luckily, it was that time. Well, I drifted into the grass median, and those wood stakes that the state highway puts up when they shovel snow to know where to stop.
Mhm.
I hit a bunch of those, and that woke me up. It was the dead of winter, so I hand cranked the window down and rode the rest of the way with 30-degree air blowing on me, so I would just
Wow.
And I, never, it was just one of the scariest moments of my life. Um, and I, I look back and you know, alcohol is so front and center in our socialization, and that's kind of I look at it now, and it's very head scratching to me because it just you know I'm a Marianne, I'm a former personal trainer, so I kind of put that hat on sometimes, and I'm like, okay, so the human body is not designed to process alcohol at
Nope.
all, and it especially doesn't want to process alcohol in consistent intake or extreme intake. That's why the body has such an extreme response when we drink a lot, whether that's a bad hangover the next day or whether that's organs that are damaged. The human body is not designed to process alcohol. I think there's a difference between having a glass of wine at dinner and going to a wedding or an event, the big socialization event, and drinking the entire evening. Um, and I like, there's an alcohol component socially to nearly every event, but it's like, I love that you say last bad decision because it's really it's not an alcohol issue. It's a decision issue. It's a how how can we, you know, I tend to look at it as from the from point A to point Z. A meaning you've decided I'm going out to a bar to somewhere and you're going to partake. There are several points along the way where you can make a decision that will point you in a better direction. We all of us. Whether that's okay, I'm going out, let me take an Uber. Whether that's I've had my one drink, okay, let me pause or let me stop now, or there are decision making points, several points along the way. And Cathy, tying back to last week's episode when we were talking about why we make the decisions that we make, it's the $1 million question is, and Marianne, this is probably what I'm tell me if I'm wrong, but you're kind of hitting on that as far as how can we make how at those different decision points, how can we steer in a better direction? And I think probably the answer is different for different people because people's reasoning for wanting to stop or wanting to continue may vary. So that's probably the tough part. Okay, there's probably although there are probably some general things we can all do when there are decisions to be made, but there's also some you referred to self-reflection earlier. You know, what is it about Jay that had to have those several drinks at 16 years old? What was it about me? Was it peer pressure? Was it my desire to fit in? So my road to making better decisions in an evening when I think I'm going to drink it might be different than Marianne's, it might be different than Cathy's. So there's kind of some self stuff to it, and then there's just some common sense stuff to at least as far as how I look at it anyway.
There's, everybody has a different reason for taking the first drink or not. And then some people have reasons for taking another drink or whatever. And I'm not trying to say that, you should never have a drink.
Right,
I'm not a big drinker.
right,
Our household is not a big drinker. Um, we're just not. But I have lots of friends that like to have a drink, and that's fine. But they're also making the decisions to have someone come pick them up or have someone staying sober, to drive everyone home. And those are adult decisions. And we're asking children to
right,
make adult decisions. And as we know, they're not always capable. Um, it's people say, things like, oh, um, but it's no fun to go out and not have a drink. Well, let me tell you, being an alcoholic or an addict is no fun either.
Yeah.
I have seen the the hangovers, the going in and out of these rehabs, seeing what dope sick looks like. I mean, that's not a fun life either. And if you could choose, certainly all of them would choose to feel better. Um, and it affects so much more than what your brain is telling you in that moment when someone says, "Hey, do you want a beer?" And we have to start talking about your surroundings. Are you safe? We've been telling girls forever, okay? And I'm part of that early 80s girls going clubbing scene. We had rules. Somebody always stayed sober and got us home. We went into a bar together, we came out of a bar together. We never lost sight of each other. If he's so wonderful that you want to stay and talk to him, give him your phone number. He can call you later. We pay so much attention to keeping our girls safe. Um, Boys need to be just as aware of their surroundings. They don't have someone who stays sober. They all drink. They wander. You They don't call home like girls do to say, "Hey, we're leaving so and so's house and going to so and so's house." They just they just don't. It's just not in their DNA. It's not in their makeup. Um, but we need to be telling them that it's not just the decision to have a drink. It's not just drinking and driving. It's being aware of your surroundings and staying composed enough to know whether or not you are safe. And that was Adam's last bad decision. He didn't do that, and he paid with his life. And something else I want to talk about, because I know you are all into self-care. This podcast is a lot about self-care. I've come a long way. For months, I never left my house.
Because this happened in February.
It's happened in February 8th. And I have been so blessed. I have so many wonderful friends and family members that took care of us. We had a family whose boys were the same ages as my boys, or similar in ages. They just moved in here. Their boys never left my other son's side. They cooked, cleaned, greeted people, did everything for us. And without them, I don't know how we would have made it through. And then so many of my friends who came and prayed with us, um, and just did, all the things that we needed to have done. And we can't ever repay any of them for that. It's just part of my healing process was writing all of this down and strengthening myself. People ask me how I got through reading the eulogy at Adam's funeral, and I did it for Adam. That was important to me.
Yeah.
But one of the biggest things that I have done, and I did it immediately, was I forgave the driver. He was 18 years old. At some point, this will all come to court. He's going to have to defend his decisions, which there is no defense. He was not just a little drunk. He was drunk, behind the wheel, traveling at over 100 miles an hour in a 30-mile-an-hour zone. Rolled the truck numerous times, hit a utility pole. I mean, um, he made a bad decision as well. But I can't judge I can't judge him. That's up to our court system. He will he's looking at spending 10 years or more of his life in prison, and he's 18 years old. Um and I am not out to ruin another person's life, to take another child away from their parents. He That doesn't mean to say that I don't think there should be consequences, and I do. But I have been very active with the state's attorney's office in trying to find the correct charge for them to use, so that we don't put an 18-year-old who made a horrible decision in a prison full of hardcore criminals for a decade. And letting go of that, I'm still mad. I'm allowed to be mad, but letting go of all that blame and anger is really what has helped heal me, because it's only affecting me. You know, when you don't forgive, it only hurts you. It's no different for the other person. It's not like holding on to all that anger is making him feel better or worse. It's just affecting me and my family. And so, my advice to anybody who is holding on to that for any reason is to just let it go. Once you just come to terms with that, it's very freeing, and it's really the only way that I get through the day is, and I say all the time, Adam's last words to me were, Mom, I'm leaving, I love you. That's the other thing I want to tell people is, make telling your friends, your family, your kids, your everybody, make telling them you love them a normal thing. It feels so good, and it feels good for them to hear it. And we should just do it all the time. And knowing that we said that to each other every day, sometimes multiple times a day, knowing that he truly loved me and he knew I loved him, that helps me get through the day. That helps me deal with all the things that I have to deal with. And it's a long process. The accident reconstruction took 6 months. We, it'll probably be another year before we end up in court. It's not just, I had to set up an estate for my child and go through probate. Dealing with insurance companies, dealing with the police, dealing with, everything. It's a lot, and it's every day, and it's brings it all back every day. But having said all that, I will say that my faith has never been stronger, that there is a plan. And Cathy, I shared a little bit about this with you when we were talking on the phone the other day, but Adam wasn't supposed to be my child. I was a foster parent, and I had many foster kids over a decade, and I had reached the point where I had said, you know what, no more babies. So my joke is that when you have to get up in the middle of the night to pee, you shouldn't have to get up in the middle of the night to feed a baby. And my social worker was great. She was right on top of it. And she said, okay, no problem. We have lots of people who just want babies because they actually think they're easier. So when she called me in December of 2003 and said, I need your help. I have an emergency placement for a 6-year-old. I said, okay. And I came home and I got down my box of boy clothes and I got everything ready. And when CPS pulls into my driveway, they get out of the car with a baby. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. He's supposed to be 6 years old. And they said he's 6 months old. But he was here now and he was so cute. And so I thought, okay, it's 48 hours, right? Well, through a series of events that happened over the next 18 months with his mother not being able to get herself capable of taking him back, she eventually asked me if I would like to adopt him and said that she would willingly sign over her parental rights, but only to me. She didn't want to just give him to foster care, but we had built a rapport over a year and a half and she trusted me and I said yes. So just before he turned 2 years old, he became my adopted son. And looking back now, when I ask God, why my child, that child was given to me. He was a gift. And all the struggle through all the years, it was all worth it because he was a gift. This was God's plan. Adam struggled with so many things, and with his mental health, with alcoholism, with grief from being adopted, all of those things. And God just thought that he had suffered enough. Sorry.
No,
No, you're good.
I know that Jay probably has a million things he wants to say, and I want Jay to say a little bit about forgiveness, but let me jump in here before he does, because he's lived some of those choices himself. But your story is so powerful and it has so many layers. We could sit here and unpack it for another 2 hours, but um, there's a lot to say, and I'm not trying to put you on a pedestal, but maybe you should be on a pedestal for a little bit.
Absolutely not.
You have such you're such a strong mom. You were definitely picked. You were definitely picked because of your strength. But there's so many things here that I'm sure people can relate to, because there's so many people that have children and loved ones that have mental health issues, that have substance issues, that have adjustment disorders, that have ADHD, that do have oppositional defiance. This is not uncommon. But what you did for this child, who obviously need some strong, loving parental figures in his life, is you provided that foundation of when you need it. And I'm sure you had all the talks that we all have with our kids. God knows I have had a million gazillion conversations with my children. Who knows what gets in that brain? Like we already said, they don't want to hear it, but that brain is. And when I do get to heaven, I always tell everybody I'm going to HR after I get to the gates and I have to explain all the things that I've done. I'm going to go right to HR because I have a few complaints about this life. and one of them might be that maybe we need that prefrontal cortex to connect a little sooner. I have to
That
check
would be
on it,
nice.
right? But it doesn't. So I would say probably your message would be to continue to have these important conversations with these kids and with anybody really, because I can't say in my lifetime I've had enough conversations about what could be a last bad decision. And year after year after year, I feel like there's a car accident or whatever, and we lose our kids. It's happened in our own town. And I
Oh,
sit here and think about it. And in my business, I, I find myself just talking to families like this, and it's like nobody wins. Like what you just said, you offered forgiveness, and what a gift. And I don't even know if I'm that strong. I don't know if I'm that good of a human to forgive like you just did. Jay and I had that conversation earlier, talking about what's been happening in the news media with the young man that shot the speaker. But that's a big deal to forgive. That's a big deal. But I love that you have your faith, and I know sometimes we say, should we talk about this stuff? Should we not? We're trying not to push things on people, but that is a choice. Faith is a choice. And is a choice that helps a lot of people. And if that is your choice, by all means talk about it, share that word. Everybody has different things that work for them. And that's what we say in this podcast. There's lots of different options. There's not one option for everybody, but that has been an option for you. That was an option for Adam. And what a rarity probably to hear young men and women really talking with their parents about praying, about prayer. I think that's pretty unique that you've
well,
had that in your life. But
you
yeah,
know,
so again, nobody wins with what happens, what just happened. You certainly didn't in your family, and neither does that other family, but yet the situation is here. So the fact that you, in your heart, in your mind, came together and did that,
I told you,
it's
you
amazing.
know, when we talk about God's plan, um, and I really believe that God, Adam was given to me for a purpose. Um, and as I think I told you before, 3 days before Adam was killed in this accident, he gave his life to Jesus Christ and accepted him as the Savior. 3 days. Now, tell me that that's not a plan. I mean, it's not like he did it at church on Sunday. He did it on a Wednesday afternoon, sitting in the driveway with someone from church who asked him the question, "Are you ready?" And he said, "I think I am."
Mm.
And it happened sitting in a car in my driveway. When Adam left here that night, he took his Bible with him. How many 21-year-olds pack a backpack to spend the night at a friend's house and take their Bible? But Adam had promised his mentor at church that he would read something from the Bible every day. Even if he didn't understand it, he was going to read something. So you've got, not supposed to be
Yeah.
my child, comes with all this baggage that I was not prepared for, but somehow suffered through, to the point of where Adam decided on his own, without me, without an audience, without the peer pressure, that he was ready to accept Jesus Christ as his Savior. And 3 days later, there's this horrific accident and everybody walks away except my child. It's a plan. I don't understand the plan. I don't want to accept the plan, but it was planned.
You're trying to make sense of the plan.
I'm trying to make sense of it. I'm trying to go on. I have another child.
Mhm.
I'm trying to go on, um, for them. I have to keep moving forward. And like I said, there's no closure. There's just tiny little glimmers of healing every once in a while. And And sometimes I scream at God, and sometimes I'm thankful. But He knows my heart, and so I'm not really worried about me screaming at Him because I think He understands. Um, but there's a lot to be said for that acceptance and forgiveness. I can't change it. No matter what I do, He's not coming back. So I have to protect myself and my family.
Yeah.
So, a couple things, Marianne. Um, Cathy's right. Forgiveness, although our circumstances are different, forgiveness. Um, First of all, I want to give you so much credit, and for
I know your story too. I'm going to give you credit right back.
well, but here's the thing, and as I'm absorbing everything you're talking about, and we're talking about forgiveness. I was in a situation when I was fighting to forgive someone. The bad thing about me at that time was I did not have my faith to fall back on at that point in my life. I had not began to walk with the Lord yet. So um, it's you know it's a pretty evident thing that you were able to come to forgiveness. So, and I'm not saying it was easy, but in a quote unquote relatively short amount of time because of your faith. That's why you were able to do it. That's pretty evident. So that's an amazing thing. Um, the other thing is kind of my analytical mind as we were talking about solutions and you know trying to find solutions and learning moments for making better decisions at certain points in an evening or during a day or whatever. And my question, this is to both of you, is like how do we is there a way to improve the decision making process earlier on in the evening before a drop of alcohol has been consumed? Is there a and in conjunction with that, because Cathy and I talk a lot about finding our people, finding our foundation of folks that we can rely on. How much can a you know your son, whomever, has a group of friends or that they socialize with regularly? How much responsibility or how much um, power can a group of young people or even adults have in looking out for each other as a night unfolds where there is going to be alcohol consumed or whatever else, whatever else? How much working together as a group can can help in that decision making process? If that makes sense to you, is a question.
Well, it starts when you decide to go out. Somebody's got
Yes,
to stay sober.
yes,
I rarely drink.
same here.
So
Yeah,
I'm more than happy. If I drink, like you said, a glass of wine, maybe one drink. If if I know we're coming home, I don't drink. So I'm a good friend. I'm a good friend to have if you'd like to have a drink. It's funny you said that. I just when I gave this speech at the rehab the other day, and I said, you know, when you so many of them had relapsed and were back in rehab, and I said, when you went home, did your friends respect the fact that you're trying to get clean, or did they offer you alcohol or drugs? How many of them, how many of you had friends offer it to you? Every single one of them raised their hand. Us. I said, you need new friends.
yeah.
They're not your friends. They're just party people. And
Going back to the same habits like nothing ever happened.
that's right. And like I said, you know, take it from us 80s girls. Somebody always stayed sober. We went in the bar together. We came out of the bar
Well,
together. We never lost sight of each other. We did it then. Why aren't we doing it now?
Well, I got to say this. Like you, Marianne, like my drinking phase was 16, 18. And this is not an exaggeration when I say this. And I've told Cathy this before. I drank more between 16 and 18 than I've drank from 18 to now. And it's not even close. Like, it's probably been 3 or 4 years since I've had a drop of alcohol at all. I don't drink. But when I played softball, it's a bunch of guys on a softball team that drinking was almost a necessity. I was the designated driver, and at the time, I was glad to do it. I wasn't missing out because I didn't want to drink anyway. I wasn't sacrificing. I was helping out. But there did come a time, and this is actually part of the reason why I stopped playing softball. I got so resentful after a while. I'm like, why am I babysitting other grown adults? I'm glad I did it. And I'm glad I kept them safe, and I don't regret that period of time being able to do that. However, there's got to come a time for each of us personally to say,
Mm-hmm.
okay, or rotate being the designated driver or something where it's not like Marianne and Jay. We can always count on them. And, just speaking for myself, again, glad to do it. I don't regret it. I'm glad I kept people safe for sure. But I'm like, why aren't they making the decisions for themselves better before
Well,
the evening even starts?
and you're talking about adults, and
Yes,
I'm addressing this presentation, towards teens and
right.
young adults, because just what you said is true. Lots of people like you, Jay, drink more between the ages of 15 and 21 than they ever do once they're they're legal to drink,
Right.
and they're dying.
Well,
We just had another one this weekend, another young life lost, a passenger in a car, drunk driver, high speed.
don't you
Yeah.
think though, Marianne? And this is just me. This is mom experience, right? I mean, I have the ability to pause and say, "Oh, if we're going to somebody's house or to a restaurant in another town, I'll raise my hand. I'm willing to be the guy. I'm willing to be the driver or whatever. I'm fine with that because I am comfortable enough in any situation, drink or no drink, to have a good time. I know some people struggle with, feeling more extrovert.
Uninhibited. Yep.
Yeah. Um, what was my point? Oh, but with kids, like what I find when I'm doing that mom thing where I'm like, oh, did you hear about this? And I'm repeating a story, then I'll watch my younger ones. Like, that's just stupid. That would never happen to me. That's just stupid. There's that. And I'm just like, oh, and I say every time, I'm like, you know what? Everybody that is in that kind of situation and can live to
Says
tell
that.
about it would have said that wasn't going to happen to me. And that if that was somebody else, it was stupid. I was like, that's the whole point of the whole discussion is that we're not thinking clearly. And it could happen to you.
And all the parents who say, "Oh, not my child." I got news for you. Yes, your child.
And
Doesn't.
the kids, the day I learned this, my heart was broken like I got dropped like a bad prom date. Is they lie to you. And they lie to you. And I mean, I was just like, I'm a cool mom. Why are they lying to me? I'm heartbroken. I'm a
Oh,
social worker. What's happening? But the truth of it is, after I had to, do my own figuring this out, and literally, I'm not a master of anything, but is that they don't tell you the truth because they don't want to hurt you. They don't want to hurt. They don't really want to. They got to
Don't
do
want to
this
disappoint
thing.
you.
They don't
Yeah.
want to disappoint you. So I
Yep.
think the lying is more. I don't want to disappoint you. And darn it, they make some decisions. They make some poor decisions.
bad decisions.
And boy, I'm glad you said some of the things you said. Not that a 19-year-old would even think about it, but you are absolutely right. Besides that, you're grieving your child. It's all the things, dealing with the insurance, dealing with the estate, dealing with, law enforcement that is, which is traumatizing to them as well to talk to you parents that are experiencing this trauma. The stuff that the police and the first responders have to compartmentalize. It
Absolutely.
hurts. The ripple effect is so great. The trauma to this critical incident is so great.
I would love Cathy to an episode by itself talking about why, and this is for adults. This is for adults.
Is there such a
Why,
thing?
why and how alcohol has become such a driving force in our socialization. Like,
Well, I mean,
and again, it's probably
I,
not one answer fits all at all, but I find that, you know me, Kathy, I'm about the why. I'm about the psychology of why
I
people
know,
do
but
what they
I
do.
think look at our world. It is so fast paced. Our attention spans are like 2 seconds. The stress is in our face 24/7, 365. We see it in our, it's in our face. Everything. News is in our face. So drinking is a coping skill.
But it's interesting to me. I'm not to say that there aren't people that like go to a bar by themselves or sit home and drink all night. There are, but for the most part, majority, it's a social, it's incorporated in a social setting with multiple people involved. Typically,
Right.
so. In other words, like I actually know several people who will go months and not drink at all, and then go to a wedding and go to an event and get sloppy. Just and like that might happen only once, but there's something about like it's an expectation. I have to fit in or whatever it is. There's just something about.
Add some good
But
music in there and it's
it's like
trouble.
it's so random that it's alcohol. It could be like it could have evolved into any number of things, but alcohol and food is the same way to a lesser degree. Food is such a social thing. How often do we like go in a social setting and meet at a restaurant or meet have a meal? But it's like that. But obviously, food doesn't have the effect alcohol does. But it's just kind of evolved that way. But yet, this entity that the body's not designed to process and has no discernible positive impact in anybody's life ever, it is such a necessity when we gather in a group.
Yeah,
That's the whole psychology behind that fascinates the crap out of me.
I
And
think
Marianne, I come from both parents were addicts, so and I'm not anti-drinking. I'm not because there are a lot of folks that drink responsibly. There, like you said earlier, a lot of folks have one drink and say, "I'm done." A lot of folks do that. Even most may do that. So I'm not anti. It's not an alcohol problem. It's a bad decision problem for both young people and adults. So it's like to me, I'm like like Cathy, we talk all the time with wrapping it in the self care blanket that we seek these external things to fill internal issues, whether
That's
it's
right.
substances, whether it's gambling, whether it's with me was relationships, whatever, any number of things.
yeah.
But alcohol seems to be the king of that because it's such a. It's like when we're putting an event together. What do people do? Well, and I need to get a keg or I need to have drinks for everyone. And it's not a again. I'm not I'm not anti drinking and I'm not anti alcohol at all. I'm pro responsible drinking, very much so. And we are all, every single last one of us are capable of that. It's like alcohol or it's like tobacco. We all have been hammered with the bad effects of tobacco. We all know the bad effects of alcohol. We all know it. There's not nobody can use the excuse I didn't know about what could happen. We all know. It's so that's been years. That excuse was gone decades ago. We all know, but yet again, you go back to the "it won't happen to me" thing, or not me. Even though I've seen the story every night on the news, it can't be me. Where I'm immune to that kind of thing, and the younger you are, the more immune you feel. Um,
Right. Yes, because young people feel that they're invincible, and that it's not going to happen to them, and it's not going to happen to their friends, and they're just having a good time, and they go from having a couple beers to being sloppy drunk really fast. Adam was one of those alcoholics that he could go weeks without having a drink, but he never had one. If he had one, it led to another. Now he is down to 12 pack and he, is looking for a bottle of whiskey. It's like it just snowballed. And trying to keep him sober, like I said before, it was a full-time job. Trying to keep him as safe as possible. You know, it, it, the moment he got his first ticket, I took his license away from him, took the tags off of his car, and turned him in. Said, "You're done until you can prove to me that you're responsible enough to do this." So he got a ride with someone, I know, who I trust, who who took him where he wanted to go and got him there safely.
Mm-hmm.
But then that's where the bad decisions started. He was with people he didn't really know.
Mm.
He didn't know the driver at all. They had just met that night. Um, and as he started drinking and kept drinking, his cognitive ability to figure out that the guy driving him around was trashed was out the window.
Let me
So,
ask a hard question. I don't know what happens in these situations. Do you have the opportunity to confront that young man, or it doesn't really work that way?
yes, it does work that way. It's called a victim impact statement, and I am able to either submit one or read one at court once we get to that point. Um, I would love to talk to this
But I
young man.
guess you don't. I guess people don't talk because it's legal at this point. So I guess like you can't ask your own son those questions, but I'm sure there's questions you want to ask him, but probably can't because of
His lawyer probably wouldn't let him answer. Yeah.
Right. So, I would love to talk to him. I would love to tell him that I have forgiven him, um, and that I don't want to ruin his life. But you're right. We do all of that through attorneys. And eventually, when we go to court, I have said that if he accepts the charges and pleads guilty to the charges um, and accepts responsibility for what he's done, then I do not see a reason to try to ruin his life. Um, However, if he decides to fight and place the blame elsewhere when he was clearly in the driver's seat, um, then I will provide an impact statement and let everyone know what my life has become because of his bad decision.
Mm.
And that's what I'm trying to do with this, taking out the whole religion aspect of it. Um, the, when I want to go into schools, I want to talk to the kids. I want to tell them, obviously I'm not going to talk about praying and God and all of that. Schools don't, well, I guess some schools do, but most schools do not. But I want them to stop and think. I just want them to stop and think. And we've lost so many kids just recently, and through no fault of their own. It's one thing if your child gets drunk and goes joyriding and has an accident and dies. It's something else if your child is a passenger in a vehicle. It's just a different situation. It's still horrible.
Do you feel like there was any wake up call to the friends that he had that have heard you talk?
Yeah, I think, well, my son Eli was never a big drinker to begin with. It's just not his thing. Um, but I don't know that, I don't, he's 26, so if he wants to have a drink, he's perfectly capable of doing that. I don't know if he's had a drink, and it's been months and months and months. I mean, he's just not interested anymore. Um, and so it is making a bit of a change.
Wow. What a powerful story.
So, Marianne, I want to, before we switch gears to something else, I want to, number one, thank you for coming on, and thank you for being so vulnerable. And I'm not a parent, so I can't even begin to imagine. Um, but to in the middle of a very difficult situation, to have the wherewithal and the desire to think to yourself, what can I do? Let's address something that's an issue. What can I do? Let me get out and talk to these folks myself. Um, and you kind of referred to it earlier. It's been a part of your healing journey. Is the trying to serve others in education and discussion and conversations and all that stuff. So um, kudos to you for that, for sure. Um, I just, again, I'm not a parent, so I can't even begin to understand. Um, yeah. You've inspired me your, um, with your dedication to your faith. Um,
And your forgiveness.
so thank you for that.
It's, it's a personal choice, but I'm the one benefiting from it.
Your courage is huge.
I don't know about that. I mean, I sort of pulled myself together to do this podcast with you guys, but you might want to ask Ken about that. He holds on to me many nights while I cry myself to sleep.
Right.
It's, but, um, and that may last forever. Uh, but every day is a new chance for
Take
me
a
to move
step. Yeah.
forward. Yeah. I'm going
So
to
that,
step away and turn the light on because the sun's
yep.
gone down here.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, she did such a good job, right?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Um, Gosh, the storytelling.
Oh, look. Now you can
Oh
see me.
wow! Yeah, it's nighttime. Yeah, you did such a good job. If you doubt it yourself, let me tell you, you did a good job, and we appreciate you. And I'm sure your
Well,
story's
thank
going to
you.
help
I
someone.
appreciate the opportunity.
Or there's going to be bits of your story that help all kinds of different people.
Yeah.
Your story's multi layered.
Well, and hopefully as I get out more and get more speaking opportunities, it that all of those bits will, again be regurgitated again and again, and more and more people can hear it. And that's really what I'm trying to do is to reach not just teens and young adults, but their parents, their families, church groups,
Mm-hmm.
those that are in recovery. Um, Believe me, those gentlemen that I spoke to a few days ago had never thought about this.
Yeah.
When I said talking about how it's affected our family, for them it was all about them. And now, the one guy said, I need to go call my mom.
Oh
Yeah.
wow! Wow.
Like it's just,
Now that they're sober and in recovery, they're in taking that information differently now. So it's
that's
they're holding
right.
on to it. Yeah, yeah,
And
Yeah,
applying it to someone other than themselves.
that's right. And it affects the whole community. I mean,
Sorry.
my friends and family are still devastated. Um, and we live in a small community. So many people knew Adam. And he was the life of the party. Everybody loved him. He was, I said larger than life was the title of his eulogy, because not only was he 6'4",
Oh wow!
but his personality was so big, and always laughing and always smiling, right up until he became, mad and violent. And alcohol brought that out in him. But when he was sober, man, he was fun to have around.
So before we get out of here, Marianne, let's do a little have a little fun with a couple segments. So we're going to do some music or movie trivia. So what's your question for Cathy and I?
Okay. So
I'm not going to blurt it out this time.
you're not going to blurt it out?
Sometimes I get excited and blurt.
Okay. Well, so knowing first of all, I'm not a huge moviegoer, Jay. I'm sorry to disappoint.
That's okay.
But
You're wrong, but that's okay.
Okay. I do enjoy watching movies at home when they come on TV. So,
Yep.
But knowing our age, this is a question that dates back to 1984. What are the 3 rules for handling a mogwai in Gremlins?
Oh, no.
3 rules.
I'm going to write them down. I
3 simple rules.
I think I know 2, but I don't know.
Darn it. I was some Gremlins person.
Oh, come on.
I'm just going to rate the 3 things. I don't know.
I don't even know if I'm almost certain of 1, but I don't know about the second one. I don't know the third one at all. Go ahead, Cathy. What's your guesses?
No candy.
Nope.
No loud noise.
Nope.
No water.
Can't get wet. They can't get wet.
They can't get wet. If they get wet, they multiply.
Don't feed after midnight. For some reason, that clicks in my head.
That's one. Yep. They can't have food after midnight. It turns them into a gremlin. So they go from the nice.
What else, Jay? What were your others?
I don't. That's the only 2. I don't have a third.
You wrote 2. You said no food and what?
Can't get wet. Yeah. Don't feed them after midnight, and they can't get wet. I don't know the third one at all.
Bright lights. Bright lights.
Oh.
Yeah. If they bright lights can kill them, so you can't let them. That's why they were always in the dark.
So technically, each of us get a third.
I got 2/3.
How'd you get 2/3?
He said what can't get wet and can't eat.
Oh, fine.
but you got to get all 3 to get a point. So we don't get, neither one of us got a point.
Fine, fair.
Okay.
You can tell Cathy and I are competitive. All right, Cathy, what's your question?
All right, ready? This is music. All right. In 2010, the Beatles' music was, whatever you want to say, moved over or downloadable to Apple, right? They became downloadable. So I'm saying Apple. Maybe it's just downloadable, period. I could be wrong about the Apple. I wrote this too long ago. Anyway, in 2010, the Beatles music became available for download. I'm going to give you 4 songs, and I want you to tell me which one was most downloaded. All right?
Oh,
Beatles,
okay.
2010, when they hit the availability and to be downloaded. Okay, the 4 songs are this: Let It Be, Hey Jude, Here Comes the Sun, and Yesterday. I'll say it again, and we're only picking 1. Let It Be, Hey Jude, Here Comes the Sun, and Yesterday.
Go ahead, Jay.
He's thinking.
I'm remembering bits and pieces of hearing about this, and I'm trying to think back. And for some reason, Here Comes the Sun sticks out. I don't feel real confident. That's going to be my answer, but I'm not real confident on
All right,
that.
what do you say? I'm not going to answer yet.
I'm going to go with Let It Be, although Here Comes the Sun is probably one of my favorite Beatles songs.
So the answer is Here Comes the Sun. I would have said Let It Be. I would have said "Let It Be" if I was doing.
And I only said that because see, in my mind, I don't think that's their most popular song just in general, by a long shot. But I just remember seeing it somewhere. That's why I answered it that way.
I thought "Let It Be" would just be large.
I see. I prefer "Hey
Everything
Jude"
they did
myself.
was
Yeah.
large.
That is true. That is
Yeah.
true. There you go. What you got?
All right. So mine's also music.
Wait, he just got a point, didn't he? Yes, he did. All right.
Yes, he did.
So here's my question: in the history
Mm.
of the Billboard Top 100 charts, what song has spent the most consecutive weeks on the top 100 Billboard charts? Not at number one, but just on the top 100 charts
Since when? Ever?
since in the history of the Billboard charts.
I Will Always Love You.
All right, I
And
got one.
I'll give you a clue because that's, I mean, you're talking about every song that's ever been created. All the top three are all very new songs, like very new. Like, matter of fact, the record just got broken like this year.
Oh, okay. Scratch my answer.
Wait, what?
So it's a fairly new song.
Yep. It's very new. It just broke the record within the past year or so.
The answer is a new song.
Yes.
Yeah.
Actually, the top three are all we're all like 5 years old or younger.
Okay, so I was going. So this is sort of our second chance, even though I didn't say my answer. All genres.
Yep. Period. Because it takes in all music. The Billboard Top 100. And I'll be honest, I did not know that I did not know the answer myself. I knew that I knew the one that it broke its record. I knew that was the record. I did not realize that this new song had broken it. So I
Did
would have
you know?
gotten.
Did you know the song,
Oh
Jay?
yeah, I knew all three of these songs. Matter of fact, um, I love all three. You know, yeah.
I have no idea.
Any
I'm
guesses, Kath?
I'm thinking. I'm thinking. Hold on.
I'm
Five.
just gonna I'm just gonna go with a song that means a lot because it was something that Adam and I both loved, and that is "Save Me" by Jelly Roll.
Oh wow.
And it's probably nowhere near the correct answer, but I'm just going to give it some love
Yeah,
because
yeah.
it was a great song that we both loved.
Did you see him perform at the Vatican
I did not.
in front of 100,000 people?
He's
Woo!
he's just amazing.
Yeah.
Darn it. I was gonna say maybe it's sung by Morgan Wallen.
No, it's not. It's not country. Country. Um, so anyway, the answer is "Lose Control" by Teddy Swims,
Well, okay, so I was on the right path there.
and it was on the top 100 chart for 100 straight weeks, so almost 2 years straight,
Oh my god.
and it broke the record of "Heat Waves" by Glass Animals, which was 91, and then "Blinding Lights" by The Weeknd was 90.
Good
So
grief.
those are the top three, and they're all
I
like
would.
5 years old or younger. They're all well. "Lose Control" was just out like 2 years ago. So,
Right.
and I
Well,
knew it was. I knew it was. I knew Heat Waves had the record. I didn't realize "Lose Control" had beaten it. So it just recently, within the past couple months, dropped out. So it set the record in 100 straight weeks on the. That's crazy. That's almost 2 straight years being on the charts.
yeah, that is it's crazy. But it's a great song and he's a great
Oh,
performer.
I love his voice.
Yes.
I remember listening to him before he became famous. He was doing cover songs on YouTube, and I was like, "Why isn't this guy?" And finally, he did a
Right.
song with.
He is. He does collab with a lot of country.
Oh yeah, well,
Yeah.
Megan Trainor. He did a song with Megan Trainor. And that was kind of the first time he'd been on like the radio, and then he's blown up by on his own. Um, yeah, so that's pretty crazy. So, Marianne, is there anything you've been watching lately, like TV or movies at home that you've liked?
Yeah, I've got two things for you. One, my TV show, my new obsession is High Potential.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. The
It's
girl
a,
that's the works with the police.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
HBI.
Yep.
Yeah, Caitlin Olsen. She's a janitor who has this super high IQ. It's not just an IQ, she has cognitive skills, advanced reasoning, photographic memory, all this stuff. And because she can't ever quiet her head, she can't stay in a relationship or hold down a normal job or whatever. She works as a nighttime janitor, so she doesn't have to deal with anybody. But then she comes by a murder board in the homicide room, um, and looks at it and sees all the things that they've missed.
What's
And
that
it,
sound like, Kathy? What's that sound like to you?
Yeah, it's a combination of Only Murders in the Building and Goodwill
Goodwill
Hunting.
Hunting. Yep.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, high potential
Janitor, night
intellectual.
janitor. That's what he was. Yeah.
Yeah. So high potential. And then my movie, and I do not like horror movies at all. Just not my thing. But I have a former coworker whose name is Jason Brooks, who played Jason, and I've never been able to see any of the movies that he was in because I can't stand horror movies. Well, he has written, directed, produced, and actually performs in The Death of Snow White. Now, this is not a children's fairy tale. It's a bit gory, but not scary. It's sort of an adult, dark telling of the Brothers Grimm original original play. Um, so it's actually funny. And by the way, the Brothers Grimm are my favorite characters
So
in this movie.
hold up, you know Jason, like
I do. He's actually very handsome behind all that makeup and mask.
you know you know Jason. Wow, I don't even watch any of the movies. I'm scared of Jason. That's crazy.
I believe me. I when he said, why I can't. Do you want a picture? Do you
How
want a
did you
signed
meet
picture?
Jason of all people?
He and I worked for the same company that was based out of Seattle. I worked here in Maryland, but he was actually our IT guy, and he's a
Moonlight
very
besides killing people.
he's a very talented young man. Well, it's not that young, I guess, but very talented man, and I really enjoyed knowing
I'm
him.
telling you
And
what, if you ever have some kind of exercise, some team building exercise, and you got to see what a fun, cool fact is, you got to say, I know Jason.
oh well, yeah, I guess I could use that.
I would use it for sure.
But this was the first movie that he's been in that I was able to watch because I really don't like scary movies.
Me neither.
And this one, like I said, it's a little gory. It's not for kids. It's a little gory, but it's actually got some really funny parts in it, um, and it's probably the best movie I have seen in years.
Hmm.
Oh,
And I expected to hate it going in, but I really liked it.
wow, Jason.
What about you, Kath?
Oh, I'm still watching Only Murders.
I haven't watched anymore. I've got to catch back up.
So yeah. Oh, tonight will be the 5th. So you're still back in 2 or whatever.
Yeah, I stopped at 2, so yeah, I'm 3 behind.
Come on, come back. It's okay. It's good. It's good.
What is it?
Only Murders in the Building.
Oh, Only Murders.
Jay and
That's
I are
good.
supposed to be watching that together, and then he's kind of not holding up his side of the deal, but he'll get there.
I'll have to catch back up for you.
Thank you. So we can't
Um,
discuss.
so I went and saw The Long Walk Friday at the movies. It was actually a pretty interesting movie. It really kind of kind of dives into you know if we're faced with certain situation as a group, will we band together or will we cut each other's throats? Basically, these there's 24 guys that are chosen in the lottery to walk, and they have to maintain a speed of 3 miles an hour. If they slow down, they get warnings, and if they fail, they get shot and killed. So, and the people get shot, or if they leave the road, they get shot. And it's like at first they're all like really encouraging each other, like, "Hey, come on, pick it up. You can make it." Guys, if they have to go to the bathroom, they have to do it like while they're walking, or do it quickly and then catch back up. And so there's this whole, there's some of the guys that are like all out for themselves. Some of the guys are like, "Hey, let's band together so more of us can get towards the end." So it really kind of dives into like, you know, what will we do in that situation, and kind of these two guys that become really close make it to the end. And
Is this a spoiler alert?
I'm not giving really too much away.
Okay.
I'm just kind of giving the synopsis of what it's about. But there's so much that happens while all these guys are walking. Um, yeah, it was. I was actually a little bit pleasantly surprised. I'd seen the previews and it looked decent, but it makes you think a little bit. Like, what would I do if I was in that situation? Would I be just trying to survive to win? Because the winner, like, you get a wish and you get like unlimited wealth. Like you're set for life financially. And this is in a world where like poverty is everywhere. So, you know, yeah. So that was interesting. And then of course last night The Voice started. It was good, Cathy. Um,
It was.
yeah. You can probably go back on Peacock and catch up
I
there. It was
never
good. I
do.
think it's on tonight again.
I never do
Um,
those good things.
it's this group. Snoop's back, Reva's back, Michael Bublé,
What
and
song did
Niall.
they sing?
They sang "Take It Easy."
Okay.
That was the opening number. Like that's what they opened the show with. So that was cool. So yeah, it's worth watching. Um,
Were they funny?
yeah, it was so. I mean, Snoop and Bublé and you know,
They're
it's just
naturally
it's just
funny.
really it's just a good group. Um, yeah, not it's funny. Michael Bublé has won the last 2 seasons. He's won back-to-back years. Well, the 2 seasons before that, Niall won. The only 2 seasons that
Ah.
Niall's done, and I didn't realize that Niall and Michael Bublé have a history. Like
Oh, do they?
they've worked together. They've known each other for like 15 years. They talk about that. So it's really cool how the judges are just they fit so well together. It was really cool. Really good performances. There was a girl from Maryland, a country singer from Maryland she got through. She's living in Nashville now, but she's from Damascus,
Huh.
outside of DC. So that was pretty cool. Yeah.
Hmm.
So yep,
Oh, yeah. Okay. All right.
that's what we're watching. So Marianne, thank you again. We appreciate you stopping by and talking with us. And
I have to say one more thing.
yeah, yeah.
My favorite book that I've read this summer. Anybody want to guess what it is?
Lead it like
Oh,
last
people
time.
like Lasso. Yay!
If you haven't read it, everyone needs to read it. It is the blueprint for how to know yourself better and improve your life. I absolutely loved it. Saw her on your podcast, and uh,
Marnie Stockman.
Marnie Stockman. And Nick, but yeah, they've written a great book, and their second book has just come out.
The business of you.
Uh,
Is it the business of you?
the business of you, and it is. I haven't gotten it yet, but I can't wait to read it. If it's anything like the first one, it's going to be fantastic.
Yeah, Cathy and I are gigantic Ted Lasso. To me is the best TV series ever. We
Absolutely.
can't wait.
I love it.
I will be clicking my TV at midnight or whatever hour it premieres when it comes out. Oh my god! I still go back and watch. I've gone through the series 3 times, and I go back
Yeah,
and
I've
watch clips all the time.
watched it over and over and over and still laugh at the
Yep,
jokes. I mean,
and still
still,
get emotional and still get the feel. Yeah, all of it. Yep.
yeah. So that's it. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks, guys, for tuning in and checking out the podcast, and we will catch you next time on Eastern Short Talk. Take care, guys.